Closing the good weekend.
Good weekend.
Here on February 17th, it's the real K&C. Ken Laird here.
Chris Curtis.
Took a day off yesterday for the lactation consultant. The Ken Laird home life's been getting a lot of attention on the last 2 days of the show.
Ken has spent $32 a month on 2 Indian channels.
I'm not sure the populace has been real thrilled with those segments, but not like I bring them up. I'm not the one that interjects this jet style into the conversation.
Well, you don't bring them up, and you don't really know when it's going to pop up, although it's been pretty consistent to open the show. There's a couple questions about your mother-in-law, her TV viewing habits.
Mother-in-law totally into that 3-part season finale.
My mother-in-law is out.
Cliffhanger.
8:30. She's out. She's not waking up.
Closes the door. She's done?
She's on the couch, but she's just
So she's sleeping
snoring
on the
away.
couch? Where are you? Are you watching TV in your room?
Yeah.
Okay. And where's your wife?
In the room.
Okay.
The cost of the India TV channels.
Do you find this interesting? Or
I do.
We've had some 6 a.m. segments that have fallen, quite frankly, a little flat out of the gate.
Well, had we done this yesterday, I would have said the first 10-15 minutes of Monday's show was...
Thursday show.
The first 10-15 minutes of Thursday's show was...
Horrible.
It was a little rough.
Meter was...
I take that personally, as I was very involved in the segment.
It was a lot about you, and it was the technology in the house.
Yeah,
right. And
My
Kirk
fear
was
of
very
youth.
offended by that.
Yeah.
If Maya wants to sit down and watch Sesame Street for a half hour or Bubble
First of all-
Guppies.
That was
thought it
actually
was
okay.
preaching.
I would actually say about 10 minutes. I don't know. There was a spot in there where
He
we
wanted calls on it. We weren't getting any calls on
Yeah.
it.
It was a...
We didn't have any banked phone lines on
we didn't have
on
big
the Laird
phone
home
lines.
line.
And just going back to yesterday, I agree with our dear leader, Kirk, that Meter Man, we said it after the show.
Hey, bang on this.
Hey, bang on this.
He is a comfortable shoe, but I think he's a little too comfortable.
I disagree.
A little too
He
comfortable.
was fine. Meter's, this is what you get when you book Meter. He's going to be the pivot. He's going to be that guy who's a friendly man in the corner, a guy at the bar. You know, he's Norm Peterson, becoming more like Norm Peterson in the belly these
Yes,
days.
he is.
Meter, your boobs are bigger than mine.
Enjoying the popcorn in the BC Media booth.
I mean, when you and Kirk want Meter on the show, do you really think he's going to come in with like flaming hot sports takes?
I have an opinion. You have an opinion. That's what we're paid to do.
Or what are you expecting here?
I don't expect flaming hot sports takes, but as I always say, I expect you to listen to understand some of what has been going on in the show. And I think that's an aspect where Trenny's gotten a lot better at.
I won't listen anyway because
Fair
I'll probably
answer.
be sleeping.
That was our one real criticism of her. It used to feel like when Trenny would come in, we'd go, like, and restart.
Yep.
Now I feel like we just keep on going, and she's been listening to, enough to be a part of the conversation.
You're
with
saying
Meter.
she's on the ascent, Meter's on the decline.
Oh, yeah, big time.
It was in decline.
Credit to Mutt. You called Mutt a minor leaguer today, and he wouldn't take the bait. I think he knew he would be the foil in the post-show podcast if he did, but Mutt took it like a man today.
Do you think Mutt could do it every day with me and Jerry or no?
He could do it with you every day. I don't think he could do it with Jerry every day.
You know what that is? That is
I'm done
you
with
can't
Chris.
handle the big stuff.
Yeah.
That's
Yep,
you're
that's
a minor
fine.
leaguer, right?
Yes, I think you're kind of a minor leaguer in a way.
Chris Curtis just called you a minor leaguer. You can sit there and take that.
Chris's opinion.
That's it? I do what
All
I
right,
do.
Mutt's coming in next year.
If you are a car guy or a car gal,
Boy, we had some tough drops from the Mutt Merlone experience.
The highlight of the week is the maiden voyage of the Mutt and Merlone show.
Indeed, the maiden voyage, Mutt and Merlone, Sports Radio, WEEI, on this Monday, 7th day of March, the year 2011.
Reappearing on your radio.
Great job by Chris Curtis, who found these just kind of, aimlessly plundering
perusing
YouTube?
WEEI video. It's my exciting life I lead.
Well,
And
you're a fan of sports talk radio. That's your hobby.
well, my interest is sports radio. I listen to sports talk radio. That's what I like to do. It also happens to be my job. I clicked on it, and I don't even know what I was expecting. I knew it was going to be bad because I had heard Kirk mock it in the past. That is the single greatest 5-minute clip of radio.
There are people here on a weekday. The cafeteria, Lou is open. The parking garage is full. What's all the heck's going on around us?
it's all new.
Look at mine.
How often did we play those drops?
Oh, my
Did it?
God. And Lou, the cafeteria, and Lou, everything's in Lou.
The cafeteria, Lou is open.
Can't even pronounce Spolster's name right.
The coach afterwards. I mean, here was Eric Splestra. I mean,
You also dastardly found Kirk Minahan and Brian St. Pierre audio today, which made one appearance. Somehow it snuck in there. So it was a balance. I think it was a fair balance.
For whatever reason, the audio we couldn't click on it again. It was deleted.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything we did.
Well,
so.
Ken, delete that, okay? Do you understand me?
Never heard of it, never saw it.
I want that gone. I want that out of my head.
It went into the ether.
Kirk's got that power. That was 8 o'clock today. It was definitely a fuck around Friday. That's our new theme. Of course, we had 3 of those this week. I think it was a good week. Tuesday, Wednesday were our best shows. The last couple of days we were goofing around. I had fun, but it was a little disjointed.
Yeah, I think it's impossible. You saw this a lot on all the sports media platforms around the country this week. You saw, free throw shooting contests. You saw people picking who's going to play Brady in the movie. People are emptying their buckets of shit to talk about.
What's on your sports bucket list?
It's common. People, you can sense the audience isn't quite as engaged in sports after the huge pinnacle of the Patriots Super Bowl run. So you do some silly shit. I thought today I was disappointed just in how it didn't work. I thought the Henry press conference would have been a little funnier, but that I think is reserved for Belichick. We tried it out. It was worth a shot. It just didn't really click.
It wasn't bad. We had some fans, some listeners who were fans of the playing audio over John Henry. In particular, a good idea by Kirk to play Belichick over John Henry in the ultimate irony.
David Price, we're aware of the situation. Did you see it that way?
Is that an ongoing legal situation?
He only won 17.
I don't know. I amuse myself, as you said to me, better than anything we're doing at that point, which was getting back into the Celtics talk at 9:30.
Yeah, there was just no real. I mean, the Celtics got jobbed. I know you disagree. You agree with Kirk?
Disagree.
Rarity.
Did you think it was a foul?
No foul.
Not a foul.
Actually, I changed my mind. I think it was a foul.
No. First answer counts.
The more I see it this
Ken
morning.
is right as usual.
And we did that for a bit, but I just can't, as Dale might say, get my jollies up over a Celtics regular season loss.
Felger would call it panties in a bunch.
Please don't get your panties in a bunch.
Tuesday, Wednesday, I agree, were our best shows. And I think the highlight, though, came yesterday in the Albert from Rhode Island phone call.
Was it really the highlight? Because I took this personally now. And Kirk said this today. I think it's kind of right. I couldn't quite find enough drops to do it perfectly, but in a way, maybe I backed into it was actually better. It was so bad. I could only find like 2 or 3 Pete drops. You ran for one of them for me. That fit, that had no context around it. So because we kept playing the same ones over and over again, it made Albert in Rhode Island sound even dumber.
Albert in Rhode Island.
Oh, good. Hi, Albert.
Is that much?
No, it is not.
No, it's Pete Shepard.
Of course it's Shepard. I should have known the stupid voice. But I'm listening to Pete.
Steve,
explain all this stuff.
Albert, give Pete a second. Pete, go ahead.
Steve, explain all this stuff.
You can't answer it, Pete.
Pete, go ahead.
You're a disgusting human being. You're a
Pete, go ahead.
disgusting human being.
That's all he's got.
I'll talk to you later in the week.
Boy, Pete got his ass kicked there.
Right. I mean, listen, could it have been executed perfectly? Yes. But the way it unfolded with Kirk being like, man, Pete's being really quiet in this segment.
Well, that was the worst part was Kirk said, quiet, let Albert, let Pete respond, and I had nothing ready, and it was just dead silence.
Well, all right, well, then let Pete talk. Give Pete a minute.
Yeah, I do.
Game. Go ahead.
There was a report that came out today at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Tom Brady caught using HGH. What would your initial reaction be? Would you be shocked?
You got to be silent on this one for some reason.
Answer the question.
I can't answer. You got him, Albert. You flummoxed him.
But that's Kirk likes you, respects you, and knows you work hard. And so if that were sausage, he literally would have jumped through the screen and strangled him.
The 2 dumbest people ever to escort a vaginal birth canal are Chris Curtis and Craig, whatever the hell his last name is. Sausage.
So that's a sign that he knows you're looking for it. But also, just the fact with the Ziegler.
Yes, somehow John Ziegler was appearing.
That's all you've got. You've just.
Oh, that's enough. Trust me, that's enough.
John. So here's what we're going to do.
And Albert, he doesn't even miss it. He's like, that's all you got, Pete? There's 6 different voices that were supposed to be Pete Shepard that weren't. And he's still talking to him. Jesus. So, yes, it was it was the perfect, organized chaos.
Kirk blasted you yesterday. What was he pissed at you for yesterday?
For talking about the stats of Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas, that I interjected myself into the conversation.
Yeah, that's which usually he likes a little lively producer debate. Not yesterday. He was in a bad mood.
Should figure that out.
a Hall of Fame for
Bird in 85-86 had 6.8 assists a game, 25.8 points a game.
Shut up. Just print out the stats. I'll read them. Go to Josh in the truck here.
Let's talk to Josh. He wants to talk
What
about
are you talking about?
We're going to compare the 2 on the other
You're
side.
not on this show. You're a producer. You can talk when I ask you to speak. Print out the stats right now and bring them in here now. Bird, 85-86. Isaiah this year. Shut up, Josh. Right now. I want them in 30 seconds. Understood?
He was in a bad mood to start today, but I think he lightened up a bit as the show went on.
I think Kirk gets to a point in the week where me more than anybody else, he just gets tired of seeing my face. And this happened in Houston. I could sense it. Thursday night is the night that Jerry and I went out to the steakhouse.
Yeah.
And Kirk ended up going with Tangway or someone out to dinner. And at Thursday, middle of the show, he's just like looking at me with disgust. I'd asked him for water too many times or didn't get him his hot chocolate the right way.
Somebody talk!
Whatever. And it was just, things just build with Kirk and me throughout the week, more so on Kirk's than on mine. And I think yesterday, he wanted to be the one giving those stats. He's an old school Larry Bird wonk. So when I sort of jumped in, it was the final straw after being around me all week. And then he flipped out.
Credit to Mutt, I think, in their relationship that he could spend a whole week with Mutt doing shows, and he didn't. I mean, he needled Mutt, a great deal, but those guys were still still good buddies. You could, chatting it up in the back room. So Mutt's a good fill-in guy for us.
Oh no, that's why I didn't mean it to sound condescending at first. Before I just randomly went into a 180 and called him a minor leaguer.
Yeah. That's you're a minor leaguer, right?
That's good. Yep.
Well, I just think there's a different dynamic when Jerry's there. Yes, I think you're kind of a minor leaguer in a way.
There you go.
With no help from anybody.
No, nobody was pulling those strings.
No, and because it's a different vibe when it's just Kirk and Mutt. And I thought this week was a great week of shows, and it's not an easy week. I mean, they're not out there building, the Celtics facility in the snow, but it's not an easy week of shows. It's difficult. There's not a lot to talk about. People have sort of exhausted all their Patriots storylines.
I don't know. I mean, I agree with the Jets. I think the Jets are the closest thing you have in a division to a rival right now.
And I thought, with as little as we had to deal with, I thought this was an excellent week of shows, and I think Mutt's a big part of that because they have a very good chemistry together. When Jerry's in the mix, I think it alters Mutt a little bit.
3% of Peter King's 50-page Monday morning NFL recaps.
You do that in your head?
He's American.
And it doesn't work as well. I don't think that. I mean, do you think they could do a show together, the three of them, 5 days a week?
Jerry would have his fill of Mutt very quickly.
Right.
That's just the fact. That doesn't mean Mutt's a minor leaguer. It's just the chemistry with he and Jerry. I don't know. Maybe in a way it would be good. He would drive Jerry crazy, and that's kind of entertaining for a while too. But yeah, I agree with you. It's not the three of them together is a much different dynamic. On that note, we talked politics today because Trump was unavoidable, the headline segment.
I'm changing it from fake news, though. Very fake news.
And we've got a new great Trump soundbite of all time with his exchange with the Black Caucus.
Well, I would. I tell you what. Do you want to set up the meeting? Do you want to set up the meeting?
No.
Are they friends of yours? No, set up the meeting.
Know.
And you got praised by the big boss today?
No, you got praised by the big boss today for the soundbite.
I corrected it.
Yeah. Phil Zachary, our GM, came in and said, it was a great soundbite, Curtis. You dropped there. That was perfect timing.
Look at my African-American over here.
All right.
I could have said thanks.
Who's the lead producer of the Kirk and Callahan show? We know who it is.
Lead producer of the Dennis and Callahan show. Oh, jeez.
Chris Curtis.
Get some lactating and sensitivity consultants.
I'm not sensitive.
But we didn't talk a ton of politics this week. Jerry was out. And we certainly had opportunities. We had Reamer in. We could have gone down.
Oh, Reamer was salivating almost as much over A.J. Perez.
Now, is that a silent, like a protest, like Kirk coming up for air? He wanted to get away from the political bubble? Because if Jerry was in this week, we would have had a much different choice of topics. The smorgasbord would have been different.
Today is a smorgasbord.
Far heavier politics. I think twofold. I haven't spoken with Kirk about this. I have no clue what his thinking is. But knowing Kirk well enough, I know that he doesn't just do things randomly. Could be that Kirk wanted to see how a week of not as active political talk did, just sort of a test run. Secondly, I think he knows next week is going to be very heavy politics.
There's maggot!
And he knows it's just going to be him and Jerry for most of the time. So I don't think he wanted to blow his load, so to speak, this week. And he wanted to save some of it for Jerry to be there and interact with him. And I also think that Reamer talking politics kind of grates on Kirk a little bit. I think him sort of screeching and going crazy. So I think that was part of the reason with Reamer we didn't get too deeply into it.
Well, I get it. And Jerry's the right-wing heavy, so Reamer, of course, not that Kirk's a lefty, but he would not have had the guy to argue with. He and Reamer sort of agree on Trump.
Right, and it worked today because you have Mutt, who, for whatever reason, thought that Trump did well yesterday.
He got a lot of support on that, actually.
Well, there's Trumpkins everywhere. They're big with us. And
did you think Trump did well yesterday?
Oh, my God. I'm so embarrassed. I voted for him. I don't know. He's such an embarrassment.
I am the least anti-Semitic person that you've ever seen.
It's so brutal. Kirk said it on the air today. I watch him. I still can't believe it. It's so bizarre feeling that you look at him as the president of the United States.
I moved on her like a bitch.
What about the Spicer invite to the White House? Is the show going to go?
I don't don't know. Spicer's he's probably hanging out with Dino these days. I haven't heard anything from him.
Now, a Dino tweet. At Sean Spicer. Congrats, Sean. I am former co-host of WEEI's Dennis and Callahan show. Please follow me for direct message. I have something important, not seeking access.
But yeah, I haven't heard a word about Spicer. But Jerry's, he took the picture with him. He saw him in D.C. Said we were invited. So I think, the show's going to go no matter what as part of the media. That's the plan.
Oh, excellent.
That was a discussion whenever they go.
Good. I missed this last week.
Yeah, so we're going to head down and stay in.
I'm assuming the Patriots won. I still have not watched yet.
Well, I don't. Well, we could be seeing Matt Ryan.
Okay.
We could be with Meter.
Fair.
You going to get to that this weekend?
I'm hoping. I'm in the first quarter. Give me some time.
The halftime show's great. I don't want to tease
They
it.
lost the coin toss, so I'm, slow down. We had some Amani Toomer drops today. That was a bit of a point of contention. I think Amani was worth playing. We had him at 9 o'clock. 45 seconds of solid Amani.
On that level where people don't like him like the former owner of the Clippers, or the other one, which is him saying he's a racist, on that level.
I think if you're in your car, you're entertained. However, the segment then started to fade very shortly thereafter. The James Dolan, Draymond Green stuff, we barely touched the last 2 days, and you can tell why. That once we started to get into it, you can feel the shallowness of it.
Well, yeah, we have the Rob Parker sound that we didn't play. We had the Amani sound we didn't play. It was decent to have fresh sound, a new topic, something we hadn't addressed, and right into it. I mean, you're hearing Rob Parker talk, and you just know what he's going to say.
Right,
I mean, you know he's going to be an idiot. You know he's going to defend it. It's going to be the race-baiting thing that Kirk mentioned. And who the hell, is anybody passionate about Oakley or Dolan? This may be, of all the bullshit stories that have happened post-Super Bowl or in dead sports zones, this may be the leader in the clubhouse. I mean, we're on a week of this. We were just in the office. It's leading First Take again.
Yeah, 5 days. We bring the gossip these days, too. You had 2 bits of info today.
I mean, Mutt's giving me shit. Where's your gossip? You're pretty talkative at 10:03, Mutt.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Tell us more about your Vegas trip.
What do you think?
How was the overall Vegas experience?
It's good. Great
Yeah.
time, yeah. Awesome.
Any other thoughts on it?
How'd your gossip corner go today? Curtis's gossip corner.
What did Pete give him, a 9.2?
9.2.
I go 2.9.
2.9. Oh, really? That's pretty harsh.
I was bad. It
wasn't bad.
I was excited. I was exceptionally excited, as one person might say.
What happened? Who are the names involved?
B-Vol, Ben Volen.
Yep. Loath to get into politics here, but
Right. Why would you do that here on this show?
Yeah.
And Julian Benbow got into an argument.
Nobody knows who Julian Benbow is, but yeah.
That Dan Shaughnessy had to break up.
Wow.
And
they didn't like the Boston Globe gossip. Nobody knows Julian Benbow.
Right, and there was more layers to it, but I feel like I could be in trouble if I really got into the true details of it. But I did think that Shaughnessy breaking up a fight between Globies was relatively funny.
Yeah, I thought that painted the picture.
Not okay.
And then I had, Doug Kyed, who is a huge fan of Charlotte Wilder.
Right.
Loves the
Apparently
girl.
Charlotte was spinning her web all across the Patriots media over the Super Bowl.
And Charlotte was lying her ass off, telling members of the media things that didn't happen, posting those stories on Facebook, all a total lie. And these people have,
they've taken her side.
Taken her side.
They're upset at Kirk and Callahan.
They think that we're picking on this little snowflake who has done nothing wrong but be abused by mean bullies.
Specifically, combing through her social media, they feel like we've done her an injustice, or invading her privacy.
Invading her privacy,
Yeah.
and that, what are we wasting our time picking on people for? What they don't understand is the reason they're going to be, doing the wham block for the next 20 years at Nesson.com, getting 5 clicks.
A gap, B gap.
Work on stopping the A gap and the B gap.
And the reason why this show is drawing more listeners than it ever has, is the most listened to show in Boston and New England, is because you take any perceived slight and you attack it. You don't ever allow lies to be said about you. You go on the offense, not the defense, which is what Kirk
As
and Callahan
Jerry would
do.
say, you give it as good as you get.
And that, as I've said a million times, and I'll say it again, the day this show really turned the corner with Kirk and Jerry was when they went after Callum Borchers. That was when they said, enough with the bullshit. We're going after the people that lie about us and the station.
I'm feeling a bit threatened.
And we're going to face them head on.
Now, if Doug Kyed would come on our show, they would respect that.
Yeah, they'd respect it. They'd bludgeon him, but he'd at least do it.
Let's see if he fights, maybe next week.
And the another guy that we're looking to hopefully get on, nothing big name, nobody knows who the hell he is, but this guy, Evan Drellick from the Herald, who was on once.
Yeah, he was on with us once.
Painting me with a broad brush because I ain't the rest of them.
Just tweeting about how we're easy on Tom Brady, which should be pretty interesting because I think Kirk has mentioned how they work a certain shaft of a former designated hitter.
Yes.
So that would be entertaining radio next week.
If I type in Kirk Shaft here in the drop machine, I can come up with that one pretty quick.
That is working the shaft like it's about to fall off.
All right, so next week is fairly well set, right? We've got a sampling of Red Sox guests, but it's not going to be boring Red Sox talk for the full week.
No, we're not going to do boring Red Sox talk.
Ever, for that matter.
David Price, which I think would be very interesting with a lot of storylines about him at Fenway this year, with the Pete Abe story. And we can ask, I personally want to show him pictures of Pudge so I can see Astro.
Right.
I think those two would get along. And we have Chris Sale, obviously big storyline with the jersey and all that stuff in Chicago. And I'm becoming less and less inclined to think that one John Farrell will join us.
I'm more and more convinced that Farrell's a moron.
People I spoke to yesterday around the office and just talking to Kirk now, I would say 10% chance he comes on.
Doubtful?
Doubtful.
He's the worst in-game manager I've ever seen.
But it will be the first time that the manager of the team does not join Kirk and Callahan now or Dennis and Callahan.
I'm betting he does join. Let's not forget now. He's got solid ground now with the organization.
He's very well respected.
They've endorsed him. He's the guy going forward. It would serve John Farrell well to beat this head on, this morning show monolith. Take the Dave O'Brien approach.
Of course I feel that way. I've got an ego just like you do. But
you have an ego just like mine?
Maybe not like yours.
Okay.
I think it would be a massive mistake for him not to do it. Massive. But I think he's now at that point where he doesn't give a shit. He doesn't want to. He thinks that we're beneath him.
He's just an empty head.
But as I was saying earlier, I mean, who's he going to talk to? Lou next week? He's the only other guy from the station. So maybe him and Bradford will get lunch.
Will you get to the bottom of the Yawkey Way exodus for me? I mean, I can get you Brian Abraham on if you'd like, but Tom Tippett left, their data analyst, and they're missing a lot of key pieces down there. So will you do some reporting for me, Curtis, when you're down there?
Well, I usually like to walk around, check out, who's the next Benintendi, who's coming up the ranks, how's Devers looking,
I was the first to interview Benintendi last year. I was down there staying at the Bradford house.
I think we fit 15 times for the number of times you've told me that.
I'd like you to keep remembering that.
Did you sit down with Michael Terrian?
I did, yes, in his office.
And did you
my direct quote was, "Can I call you Michael or Michelle?" He said, "Your choice."
And did you hang out with Phil Simms?
I've hung out with Phil Simms in the Chicago Bears press box watching a game. He was doing play-by-play as we sat there. You think I'm getting like Jerry? I've got only a couple stories.
Trinity doesn't know all my old stories.
No, it's just, whoa, sensitive Laird, sleep deprived.
I'm not sensitive.
I will try and speak with your buddy Abraham. Another Abraham will not join us, and that's Pete.
Pete Abrams.
So I'm here with Pete Abrams. And
Pete Abrams, as one Linda Pizzuti just called him. The press box is right down the hall from the booth that we broadcast from.
Yeah.
And whenever I open the door and they see it's me, it's like, Kirk and Callahan assholes, There's not a lot of fans of the show down there. So,
well, make some friends, all right?
We'll try and get Shaughnessy on.
I think that's less likely than Farrell.
Oh, more likely than Farrell.
You think?
Yeah. Sometimes he gets guilted into it. He likes to be a storyline. Now he's part of the same company. What's his excuse?
Not yet, as we were told yesterday.
Yep. Status quo.
Classy. Stay classy. Stay the course. And on this, that story that I told was accurate. David Field, our fearless leader, the owner of Entercom Corporation, threw out Jerry Callahan's name first when mentioning the great personalities that Entercom has here in the fold in Boston. I was waiting for Kirk to follow, but it was Jerry, Glenn Ordway, Greg Hill, nary a Minahan mentioned. Kirk didn't seem bothered at first, and then I think now that it's sept in there a little bit. Sept? It crept in the brain a little bit there.
We don't have a great relationship, I would say. It's okay.
Really?
Yeah, it's been mixed so far.
I think he was. He had a couple. If you weren't really paying attention, you wouldn't have heard it. But Greg Hill, like one of those lines. So, and he was talking about. He asked me about prior spring trainings with Jerry and all the guests they used to have. He's like, "Oh, well, what's changed now? Is it Jerry Callahan or me?" So he was making sure it was known that he was doing things the right way.
He's an old man. He likes old men.
All right, Curtis, be on your best behavior. This is 2 weeks of the last 4 that you've had to spend on the road with Kirk and Jerry.
It'll be a
may you
lovely
survive
time.
the week.
I will look forward to speaking with you, and good luck to you and D. I hope you get some sleep this weekend. And the next time we speak, I hope you get into the second quarter, because things get a little interesting in that game.
Always the spoiler. Chris Curtis sending us into the weekend. I might say good weekend, Curtis.
Sounds good. All right, guys, here's what's trending now on WEEI and WEEI.com. That's what's trending now on WEEI and WEEI.com. I love Jerry, John, and Kirk all the same.